Intelligent, progressive conversations are very important. And so I love to watch the Nobel Laureate. And while I was watching the 2025 version for the Nobel Laureate roundtable, I stumbled on an idea expressed by Philippe Aghion. I'm not sure if he's a professor, but then he's a Nobel Laureate in economics. And he mentioned an idea called creative destruction. And I think it's very fascinating what he meant by that idea. I know it sounds very violent, creative destruction, but it's not destruction for destruction's sake. It's actually an idea that says that progress comes and innovations comes when old ideas that do not serve us give rooms to new systems that will serve society better. And the moment I heard it, I told myself, this is the very conversation Africa needs to have. And so the concept of creative destruction was actually coined by a man called Joseph Schumpeter. And Joseph argues that economic and social progress does not come by merely preserving everything that exists. It comes by allowing new ideas, new technologies, new ways of thinking and doing to replace old and outdated ones. The old does not give way to the new because it is useless. It actually gives way to the new because it has done its job. And in many cases, the old give birth to the new, but now it has to go because that is how societies move forward. I strongly believe that Africa's problem today is not the absence of wonderful new ideas. It is simply a case where old systems are refusing to step aside for new ones to thrive. And so we often protect old ways simply because they are familiar, but familiarity does not necessarily mean effectiveness. For me, creative destruction asks a very difficult question. What must Africa be willing to let go of for the sake of progress and development? First, Africa needs new ways of thinking. Many of our education and governance systems were designed for a different era. Colonial economies, industrial era jobs, rigid hierarchies. But today's world is digital, interconnected, and knowledge-driven. Yet we still reward memorization over thinking, obedience over questioning, and tradition over evidence. So creative destruction means being brave enough to say, some ideas have served us, but they can no longer lead us. In education, for instance, creative destruction is not about rejecting the past. It's about redesigning the future. Our schools must move past rote learning to critical thinking, beyond certificates to competence, beyond teaching students what to think, to teaching them how to think, new ways of thinking, new ways of teaching, new ways of learning, new ways of being, new ways of knowledge, new ways of communication. Because, see, a continent cannot innovate with an education system that discourages curiosity. The same applies to politics. Africa does not just need new leaders, it needs new standards for leadership. Creative destruction in governance would mean to question inherited political cultures, big man politics, godfatherism, closed up decision making, power without accountability. And it means embracing transparency, data-driven policy, civic education, and institutions that outlive individuals. Old governance models give room to modern African states, but they must now give room to new forms of participation and accountability. Of a truth, creative destruction is very uncomfortable. It demands humility from elders and courage from institutions, and it tells us to admit that something can be respected and still be replaced. But we have to agree that Africa cannot build the future by endlessly preserving the past. If Africa is to be transformed, it will not be by luck or by slogans. It will be by deliberately making room for disruptive ideas in governance, education, and society together. Africa can make progress by designing systems that allow innovations and creativity to thrive, and by understanding that progress requires both continuity and courageous change. Africa has to get it right, and Africa will get it right. Thank you.